Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I want to show you absolutely everything about how I've made over $10 million selling online courses over the past 10 years. And really my goal for this video is for you to leave thinking, wow.
Ali's journey is a masterclass in consistency and scaling. 10 years, $10 million. That's not just inspiring. It's proof that courses are a long game with exponential payoff. Now imagine starting your journey with your first product already created, branded, and set up to sell. That's what we offer. Our white label digital products give you a jump start, so you're not building from zero.
I specialize in making online courses, so we're going to split this video up into a few different parts. Firstly, I'm going to share a brief overview of my 10-year history, or rather 12-year history, selling courses online and all of the numbers on my own journey. Secondly, I'm going to give you some examples of other creators, other online course creators who are making lots and lots of money selling online courses, so you have a sense of who else is out there in the market. Thirdly, we're going to walk through the specifics of selling courses as a business model, and I'm going to show you kind of screen recordings of what our process looks like in all the different platforms. We're going to talk about creation of the course. We're going to talk about sales and landing pages and checkout pages. We're going to talk about traffic. We're going to talk about leads and funnels. And then at the end of the video, there's going to be a bit of a rapid fire Q&A for commonly asked questions around building an online courses business. Now, this is going to be an insanely long video, and there will be timestamps to literally everything, descriptive timestamps as well in the video description. So do feel free to skip around the video if you feel like it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's get to it. So I'm currently 29 years old, and I sold my first course in 2012. I had just gotten into medical school at Cambridge University. How old was I? I was 18 years old, and I'd just been scammed out of $1,000, £1,000 that I'd saved up. Like, this was my life savings. I'd saved it up through like private tutoring and stuff, which I was doing for years. And I wanted to buy my first Apple product because for the first time I could afford an Apple product. And I tried buying it off of this dude off Craigslist. I got scammed. The product didn't work. It was an old product anyway. And so I lost this £1,000 that I'd worked so hard to save. And then I decided, you know what? I need to find a way to make money. This is in fact the document on Evernote that I made in 2012, 12 years ago, when I first tried to brainstorm how to make money. Money-making schemes. Couple of questions first. What am I good at? Academics, teaching, web design, graphic design, high A-levels, high GCSEs, high BMAT score, interview prep perhaps with other people, build computers and stuff. Can I use any of that stuff to make money? Tutoring courses, teaching people one-to-one, build computers for much cheaper than equivalent specs. Online stuff. Website on how to get into medicine. Website on BMAT prep, charge for this, question mark? Website on interview prep, question mark. And so this middle thing, website on BMAT preparation, charge for this. This was my foray into the world of successful online business, because I realized I had expertise in this thing, getting people into helping people do well in this exam called the BMAT. And so I decided I was going to run some classroom courses teaching the thing as one does. So in 2012, I had about 7 students who were all friends of mine in the year below at my school. And I invited them over to my living room. I created a PowerPoint presentation, beamed it to the TV using my HDMI cable, and ran this course for 7 people sitting around my living room dining table. That was where we started. That was 2012. I made basically zero money then. I think I probably made like, I don't know, £300 or something. So, you know, recouped 300 of the £1,000 that I'd lost. Then it was 2013. This was when I'd started medical school, and I decided, you know what? Let's go big with this. So I made a proper website. I knew how to make websites, and I started marketing it nationally. I think we made around like £6,000 that year because I taught like 150 students across like 5 different courses. And then this business, 6med, ended up growing further and further. And then in 2014 to 2019-ish, I was making around £150,000 a year from continuing to run these classroom courses where we would rock up to a classroom with like printed booklets, me and a friend of mine, or me and like mates from medical school, and we would teach classrooms of 30 students. One of the times we taught a lecture theatre of 150 students because they were, you know, it was the final day and loads of people wanted to join, so we booked a lecture theatre, and that was sick. So we made like 10 grand in a day, and it was like mind-blowing, the fact that you could rock up on a weekend and teach people something and they would pay me money for it. And this was like where I got the bug of this realization that there is a way to make money by teaching stuff. It's kind of interesting, because previously I thought being a teacher is like, oh, it's kind of being in school or something like that. But I realized you can make money by teaching stuff. Then in 2018, I graduated and started working as a doctor. But in between graduation and working as a doctor, I had like a month of summer holidays. And in that summer holiday, I filmed the BMAT course as an online course. So I created the BMAT crash course online. And I hosted that on a platform called Podia, which we're going to talk about more in a little bit. And by that point, I'd already been making YouTube videos for a year. So I knew how to film videos, I knew how to edit videos. And so I basically spent that summer filming the course, which took a few days, and editing the course, which took absolutely freaking ages. But I was doing all that stuff myself because I hadn't yet outsourced editing, I didn't have a team. And that was my first foray into the world of selling an online course. That course made a few tens of thousands of pounds that year. So the following year, me and a friend of mine, Akib, we partnered to make the UCAT, like it was called the UK CAT back in the day, another medical school entrance exam. Then the following year, I filmed another course called the Interview Crash Course, which was helping people prepare for medical school interviews. Then in 2019, this was 2 years into my YouTube channel, I decided to make my first online course on Skillshare. So on Skillshare, I made a course about how to edit videos in Final Cut. And that year, we made $8,470 on Skillshare. In 2020, I made a bunch more courses on Skillshare, made $515,000 from those. It is worth zooming into this 2019 to 2020 jump. So 2019, $8,500 on Skillshare. 2020, $515,000 freaking dollars on Skillshare. This is not normal. This is atypical. All of the timing, everything was in our favor. I think pandemic times were there. Skillshare had a weirdly lucrative way of paying teachers. And I realized, wait a minute, if I just make loads and loads of courses and chuck them on Skillshare and then tell my YouTube audience that they can access them for free, I would just make money. And it seemed like an obvious math problem at the time where I was like, if one course makes 10K a month, 10 courses will make 100K a month. And so that was just completely freaking mind-blowing. It no longer, unfortunately, works like this. And it helped that I had an audience on YouTube and stuff. But I don't want you to be watching this section of the video and think that it's normal to jump from 10K a year to 500K a year. That is a very, very atypical jump. But we're going to talk more about the specific details of how to get into all this stuff further along in the video. And in 2021, this was peak pandemic times. Skillshare was paying out loads of money. That was our peak Skillshare earning period where we made $859,000 that year from selling courses on Skillshare. And if you're not familiar with Skillshare, it's basically like Netflix for online courses. You sign up to a subscription and then you can watch any of the courses for free. But the way we make money, the way I make money as a teacher, is that it's essentially based on how many minutes someone watches the course. So we can see that we've had 37 million minutes total watch time for my courses. You can see this month, total paid minutes watched was 236,000, and this month the estimated earnings are about $10,000 this month. Then in 2022, we did $778,000 from Skillshare. 2023 was $351,000 from Skillshare. So we had a peak in Skillshare in 2021, and now it's sort of like going up, sort of essentially decaying to zero, but it's still pretty reasonable. Like we did $350,000 last week. Last year, not last week, I meant last year. From just continuing to have some courses available on Skillshare. Then there is another layer to all this, which is that in 2020, I decided to make my first sort of official online course, the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. And that has been running for the last 4 years now. In 2020, that course made around about $294,000. In 2021, we did about $2 million. Again, insane jump. It was the pandemic effect. Live cohort courses were all the craze at the time. And I'm going to go into much more of these details further down the line in the video. In 2022, we did 1.7 million from that course. And in 2023, we did 3.6 million from that course. And because I'm a fan of providing receipts, just in case anyone's comment being like, this is BS, like there's no way you can make that much money on the internet. This is our Skillshare stats. In total, as you can see, we have earned $2,579,138.19 off of Skillshare. On Podia, which is the platform that we were hosting our YouTuber Academy initially, you can see over here, the revenue is $2,676,437.99. Then we switched to a platform called Kajabi, which is the one that I would recommend mostly if you're trying to build an online courses business. And on Kajabi, as you can see, all time from December 2022 through to April 24th, 2024, we made $3.6 million on Kajabi, which is absolutely insane. Towards the end of last year, we switched to Shopify for some of our online course payments. And you can see on Shopify, we made $838,260. And most recently, we have started using a platform called Spiffy for our checkouts, which is where we're selling Productivity Lab, which is a new experimental product that we launched earlier this year, actually like a few days ago. And you can see over here, $457,000 made on this, which roughly adds up to like $10.1 million, I think, something like that, in case anyone was a little bit skeptical of the whole thing. There are also loads and loads of other people on the internet who are making insane amounts of money selling online courses. So here are just a few of them, just to give you a flavor of what sort of stuff is out there. Let's take Justin Welsh, for example. Justin Welsh is famously in the niche of online business and solopreneurship. And 2 weeks ago, he tweeted, "Today, my little one-person business crossed 7.5 million in total revenue. It took 1,712 days. 1,700 divided by 365. 4.6 years, 4.5 years to make 7.5 million. I ran 0 ads and operated a 91% margin. That's insane. For context, our margin in our business is like 60%, and that is also considered very good. But Justin's operating at 91% because he doesn't have all the overheads of stuff that I do. Justin mostly writes stuff on Twitter and LinkedIn. And he has 3 courses. He has his Content OS, which is $200. He has his LinkedIn OS, which is $200. And he has his Creator MBA, which is $897. And I would estimate his revenue was probably like 3 million last year, or 3 to 4 million, something like that. Next, we have someone called Amy Porterfield, who apparently has sold over $100 million in total sales for her online courses. Absolutely freaking mind-blowing. Wow. Well done, Amy. She posts mostly on Instagram and Facebook. She also has a really good podcast called the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast with Amy Porterfield. And she seems to have 3 main courses: her Digital Course Academy for $2,000, her List Builder Society, which is about email building, which is $500, and Systems That Scale, which is $300. And almost certainly she does at least 10 million a year, but $100 million in total sales. Absolutely next level. GG, Amy. Next, for example, we have someone called Jenna Kutcher, whose website is sick. I love her website. It's like super vibey. She doesn't reveal the exact numbers of revenue, but I would estimate it's probably in the several million a year, maybe even 10 million plus, because she seems to be pretty big. And she sells courses on how to do Instagram, Pinterest, the List to Launch Lab, the Podcast Lab, and the Content Lab. And these are sort of all in the sort of $200 to $1,000 range. And what's interesting about Jenna is that she's absolutely enormous on Pinterest. I never would have thought that you could make money posting stuff on Pinterest, but Jenna seems to be doing exactly that, which is pretty cool. Next is a bit of a random example. We have a friend of ours called George Blackman, who actually used to work for me, and then he struck off on his own to start his own business, doing script writing for other YouTubers and making a course about it. And earlier in January, he launched his first online course, and he wrote, "My first product launch just made $63,760 in 48 hours. For context, that is the salary of a whole year working as a doctor in the UK, if not more, and he's made that in 2 days. And he only had 7,000 Twitter followers and 2,600 newsletter subscribers." There's also a tweet of his from March where he's made $8,024.56 from course sales in the last 30 days. $8,000 a month in course sales? It's pretty good business. There is Kieran Drew, who has a course called High Impact Writing, which is about how to write. And he is very open with his revenue numbers. His March net income was $132,000. That's pretty freaking sick. You can see that his revenue based on this graph is quite spiky because he has a bit of a launch-based model for course sales. We'll talk more about that later in the video. And Kieran apparently fairly...
It's not just Ollie. Countless people in niche markets are building thriving businesses. From productivity to pet training, there's room for everyone. We help you identify your profitable niche and equip you with sellable, beautifully packaged digital products you can list on Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, and more, even before your course is finished. 3.3 million in the last decade. That's on average, that's 334,176 per year in profit. Not as much as you'd think, seeing the last few years' numbers, and similar to what a coastal mid-level tech manager would make. The first 4 years, I only made $49,000 on average, barely enough for me to afford the rent in the San Francisco Bay Area. I guess this just shows the importance of sticking with it for the long term, and you can see his revenue, expenses, and profit graphs over here. And again, you can kind of see, we can highlight the 2021 pandemic effect, where everyone selling courses blew up, and then kind of overhired, and then the expenses went through the roof, and then the next year they were like, oh shit, and they kind of clawed it back down a bit, and then they're sort of becoming more profitable over time. And Tiago's course is called Building a Second Brain. It's basically a productivity course. He has a book called Building a Second Brain as well, and it's a course on how to organize your notes and thoughts and stuff. Okay, so I just wanted to share those examples to give you a sense of, whoa, this is what's possible when it comes to selling online courses. One important caveat is that it's easy to think that the only way to make money selling online courses is by teaching other people how to make money selling online courses. And you get into this sort of like loop where it's like, oh, a guru teaches you how to make money, but the way they teach you how to make money is by teaching other people how to make money, and you get into this weird sort of thing. It's worth keeping in mind that that is less than 1% of the total number of people that actually sell online courses. There are people who sell online courses on all sorts of things. Yoga with Adrian, for example, makes at least 10 million a year selling yoga courses and posting yoga content on YouTube. Justin Guitar, who is the guy whose course I followed to learn the guitar, probably makes several million a year teaching people how to play the guitar. Mary Spender probably makes at least $1 million a year teaching people how to play the guitar and how to record music in like Ableton or whatever, Pro Tools, whatever software people use to record music. There's loads of people doing online courses on how to code. Like essentially any skill you can imagine that someone might want to learn, there are people making stupid amounts of money selling online courses teaching that thing. And the reason why you might only hear from the people who selling online courses about business is because it is in their interests to talk about how they're doing it and to share their revenue numbers. For example, Justin Welsh, his whole business model is aimed on teaching people how to be solopreneurs. So it's very much in his interests to share how many millions he's making being a solopreneur. And so it really becomes too easy to have this impression that the only people who are making money through online courses are people who are teaching other people how to make money through online courses. As I said, that's like 1% of the market, and there's like a huge range of people who are doing this sort of thing as a career,
but who are not teaching others how to make money. Okay, so next I want to kind of talk through the philosophy and like the general business model of how people are making this money through online courses. And to understand that, it's really helpful to think of an online course creator as simply a teacher. I'm going to get the iPad out, but I need to I'm going to draw some stuff. Can we snake the cable there? Nice. Thank you. Is it going to reach? Oh no, the cable's not long enough. Oh no, there's a USB in the front here as well. Okay. Mate, making millions through online courses. Can't even afford a long USB cable. And I'm going to prop up the iPad on my book so that I can do a bit of product placement for my book in the background. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, Feel Good Productivity. It's about how to be more productive in a way that actually feels good. Okay, so let's imagine you are a teacher. And I want you to think, what does a teacher do? Well, a teacher basically is someone who teaches things to people who want to learn the thing. Now, broadly, there's like kind of the school stuff that most of our experience of teachers is in, but then there's everything else. So school stuff would be things like English and maths and history and geography and science and all that kind of stuff. Like when we think teacher, we generally imagine like a science teacher or a history teacher, something like that. But there are also teachers for other things. So, you know, for example, we've talked about how you can teach the guitar. You could teach gardening. You could potentially teach accounting. You could teach coding. You could teach painting. You could teach even soft skills like public speaking, sort of. You know, you can imagine someone being a teacher of public speaking. You can imagine someone being a teacher of goal setting, like how to set goals and achieve your dreams and stuff, like motivational type people. You can imagine someone who's a teacher of parenting. Essentially, there are all sorts of people out there who want to learn stuff, and some of that stuff is knowledge and some of that stuff is skills. History is broadly knowledge. If you want to learn about the history of the world, all that kind of stuff. Then there's skills like gardening, guitar, coding, parenting, accounting, painting. So it's worth like keeping in mind what this expanded definition of a teacher is, i.e. someone who just teaches other people who want to learn the thing that they know how to do. Now, let's imagine back in the day, how would a teacher have made money? Because like you can teach people for free. You can like go to your mate in the local coffee shop and be like, I want to teach you about, I don't know, the Industrial Revolution, or I want to teach you how to play the guitar. But you're not making money from that. So how did teachers make money? Well, essentially the way teachers made money is by finding people to pay for their expertise. So how can you do that? Well, you could work for a school or a university or some other sort of like educational.
This business model is amazing because of its scalability. Once you build it, it works for you 24/7. We don't just help you build a course. We help you turn it into an automated income stream with a full sales funnel, optimized landing pages, and high-converting digital lead magnets.
They're charging the rich parents of the kids going to the school. Basically, you're being hired by the employer, i.e. the school or university institution, and they are paying you the salary in return for your expertise, in return for your teaching. How else might you have made money as a teacher back in the day? Well, as a teacher, you could always do one-on-one tutoring, right? Like you can go to your local supermarket, you can advertise that, hey, I do tutoring in maths, I do tutoring for the 11 plus entrance exam, I do tutoring for guitar, I do tutoring for public speaking, and you hope that someone calls you up or sends you a letter or knocks on your door and signs up to your services one-on-one. How else can you make money as a teacher? Well, you could run weekend workshops, right? Workshops. This is how I used to make money selling these like medical school admissions courses. I would rock up to a conference room, I would teach a workshop, and people would pay me 50 to 100 pounds per person, classroom of 30 people. So I make, what is that, like 1,500 to 3 grand in a day. And I'm like, whoa, that's quite fun. I enjoy teaching. I get to spend a whole day with these kids, teaching them stuff. Time flies, there's good vibes. I get a nice little like noodle takeaway for lunch, take the train home, pocket my 1,500 to 3,000 pounds, and I'm like, whoa, I've just made money. This is sick. So you can make money by selling these sorts of workshops. You could make money training businesses. So for example, let's say you're a teacher of public speaking. You might go to a local business who employs, I don't know, a few hundred people and say, hey, I will run a training workshop for your team on public speaking, or something like that. Even back in the day, you might have the whole sort of patronage model. So for example, I might be getting my facts wrong here, but for example, like Plato and Aristotle and Socrates, they were teachers, they were philosophers, but back in the day, philosophy wasn't about like this kind of university ivory tower type nonsense. Back in the day, philosophy was teaching people how to live a good life. And these people, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, they would have followers or disciples. I think the word for disciple is like discere?
Discere means to learn.
Discere, which means to learn. So like the disciples of Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle are learning from them. And the way these guys made their money was, I think they were independently wealthy, which is why they could afford to spend all their time in contemplation, and they were being patronized by like the emperor or something. I think. I could be getting my facts entirely wrong. As you might gather, I'm not a student of history. I would like to learn more history. So if someone has an online course on history, I would love to sign up to it. So basically, you can be a teacher in all of these different sorts of ways, and you can make money by distributing your services to people who are willing to pay for them. And this has been a thing that's been happening throughout time. how then do we understand this world of the online course creator? The world of the online course creator is basically when you're a teacher, but you utilize the power of the internet to make money selling your teaching services. So teacher x internet. Teacher x internet equals online course creator, basically. So how does this actually work? Well, if you were a teacher, like, let's say you were like me and you teach people how to do YouTube, or you teach people how to be more productive, you can then create an online course and you can sell that to people who will buy the thing. Now, this could be a self-paced online course, which is you could teach the thing and then it could be online. This is how I learned the guitar, by taking Justin Guitar's course on how to play the guitar. This is a course he recorded. It's a series of videos. You buy them for like, I don't know, $50, and then you go through the videos. This is great for Justin because he has to do the work once and obviously build the audience and stuff. And then people can just buy his course and pay him $50 every time and can learn the guitar by just following along. This is a self-paced online course. Alternatively, you could do what's called a cohort-based course. This is what we are currently doing with my productivity lab. This is what we were doing for like 3 years for our YouTuber Academy, where this is a course that happens live, but happens over the internet, where like, let's say 300 people join and they're part of this cohort, and then they're all taking the course together, and the course is delivered through a series of like Zoom calls essentially, where I might hop on a Zoom call for 2 hours and do a big presentation, and I have my presentation and share my screen and do engagement from the chat. And this is sort of the equivalent of taking a course at a college, where you rock up, you've got the whole lecture theatre people, and the professor or the teacher is giving the course, talking through their slides. This is just happening using the power of the internet, and therefore, these sorts of people can make money through online courses as well. How else could you make money using the teacher internet analogy? Well, you could do one-on-one coaching over Zoom. For example, at one point during lockdown, I had Zoom singing lessons because I wanted to improve my singing, and I found this guy off of YouTube who had one-on-one Zoom singing lessons, and I paid him for like 8 lessons, and I think I only took advantage of 2 of them, so I should probably reach out to him and be like, hey man, can I have these other 6 lessons? But he's making money doing one-on-one coaching over Zoom. This is also part of this sort of teacher using the power of the internet for distribution. As a teacher using the power of the internet, you could write a book. So back in the day, people were obviously making money writing books, but you had to have a publisher. I have a publisher for my book. It's Penguin in the UK and Macmillan in the US and a bunch of different publishers worldwide and stuff. And so, having a proper publisher kind of makes sense for various people for various different reasons. But now you can self-publish a book. And so, for example, one of my friends, Paul Millard, self-published a book called The Pathless Path. And in the last few years, it's a very good book, he's made over $250,000 from this self-published book. And anyone in the world can just write a book on Google Docs, export it as an EPUB, chuck it on Amazon using Kindle Direct Publishing, and now you have a book that you can sell on Amazon. And it costs nothing to do this because Amazon just takes a cut of your sales. But again, this is similar to this thing. It's a teacher, you're teaching something, you have something to teach, you're writing a book about it, and you're selling it online on Amazon using like the self-publishing platform. It doesn't have to be teachers. There's people there's a guy I met a few years ago who was writing like romance, like steamy romance novels aimed at women. He was like a 17-year-old dude, and he was writing these like risque romance novels aimed at women and self-publishing them on Amazon, and was making like a few $1,000s a month doing this. But that's less the teacher thing. This is more like that's like a writer, how you make money online as a writer. So the way that we can really think about these online course creators is they're basically teachers using the power of the internet. And I think that is a useful framing if you are thinking of getting into this business. Can you see yourself being a teacher in real life? If you could see yourself being a teacher in real life, you could probably potentially try making money trying to sell online courses. It's not for everyone. If you are the sort of person who enjoys explaining stuff to people, if when you were at school or at university, people would ask for your help and you were sort of helping them along and you got a sense of glow and fulfillment and pride out of helping someone else with their homework, like me, you might enjoy being a teacher. If you, for example, think, if I had loads and loads of money, what might I want to do? And one of your answers is, I might like to teach. I might like to teach some of the stuff that I've learned, whether it's gardening or public speaking or YouTubing or building a business or playing the ukulele, whatever the thing might be. If part of your life vision is like, being a teacher would be kind of cool, then potentially you might decide to go into this online course creator game, because essentially it's all about just being a teacher and using the power of the internet. So now let's go into the world of how to actually make money through selling online courses. And we are going to imagine that I want to sell an online course teaching people how to play the ukulele. I have been playing ukulele for a few years. I know how to play some chords. My finger is a bit screwed right now because I cut it. Let's imagine we're going to teach people how to play the ukulele. So I want to make an online course teaching people how to play the ukulele. And obviously, apply whatever example you want here, and we're going to talk through what would this sort of business model look like. So my ukulele course needs a name. Give me 20 naming ideas for a course teaching beginners how to play the ukulele. Make the name fun and alliterative. Great. Let's see. What does ChatGPT come up with? Ukulele Unleashed. Ukulele Utopia. Strumming Serenade. Plucky Playtime. Tiny Tunes Travel. Ukulele Uplift. You know what? I am going to choose to make an online course about how to play the ukulele called Ukulele Unleashed. This is the new business that you and I are starting together. The business of building an online course called Ukulele Unleashed. And really the point of a course is that it is a transformation from A to B. So someone is like at a certain point in their life, and then they take the course and it gets them to a certain outcome. And so I'm really trying to figure out, okay, who is the person that this course is going to be good for, and what is the transformation that they're going to experience as a result of taking my course Ukulele Unleashed. So it's probably going to be a complete beginner. They're probably someone who wants to play the ukulele, and this is maybe their first musical instrument, and they like the idea of the ukulele because it's super cheap, so you can get them for like, I don't know, 15 quid, 20 quid. And then if they take my course Ukulele Unleashed, by the end of the course, they will be able to play basic chords and sing along pop songs. And in my course, you know what, while I'm there, I'm going to teach them Hey There Delilah, because it's good that they have some songs, and I don't know, like Over the Rainbow, because that's a classic ukulele song. Fantastic. We have a rough idea of what's going to go into our course. In reality, it's more complicated than this, but this is meant to be a broad overview where you can always like dive in. But it is actually very useful to be thinking in terms of what is the transformation that the learner is going to experience as a result of taking my course, and who is the person. Now, Ukulele Unleashed, it's also generally useful to understand who would be the absolute dream target audience for this course. Is it Ukulele Unleashed a course for kids? Am I teaching 7-year-olds how to play the ukulele? Probably not. I probably want, if it were me, I'd probably want ukulele for adults. You know what? Adults. These are adults who have jobs and maybe don't have too much time on their hands, and they want to learn the ukulele because it just seems kind of cool. It's like a fun little instrument you can strum on the ukulele, and it's like good vibes. So, we have an idea of what this course is going to be about. Now, if you're a beginner to the world of online business...
Ollie breaks it down beautifully. But let's be real, building a course from scratch can still feel overwhelming. That's why we offer a done-for-you course creation service. You give us your expertise, and we transform it into a polished course with modules, quizzes, PDFs, and even bonuses.
Let's create a 4-module, 20-lesson, 4-module times 5 lessons each course on Ukulele Unleashed for beginners. Please give me a rough course outline. Boom. Let's say we spend a weekend deciding, you know what, I'm going to put this course together, and we decide it's going to be a video course, and we just sort of make the course. Like, I'm going to skip over the process of actually making the course, because you can kind of imagine what a course would look like if you're teaching something. Ukulele Basics Module 1, Module 2, Chord Progression and Strumming, Module 3, Diving Deeper into Music, Module 4, Ukulele for Performers, Dynamics and Expression, Chords and Melody, Songwriting. Oh, wow. This is too advanced a course, I think. I kind of really want to make it way, way, way simpler than this, but whatever. Let's just go with the structure, and let's say I've spent a weekend or a week just filming the course, editing the course, and I now have a course. Okay, cool. What I now have is a series of MP4 videos. What do I do with that? Well, this is where you probably want to upload your course to an online course platform. This is where things start to get a little bit complicated. Because you could just put it on YouTube, right? But you're not going to make any money if you put it on YouTube, other than AdSense, maybe, if you have a monetized YouTube channel. So you really want to sell this course. Now, there's kind of 2 ways of doing this online course thing. The first one is you could put your course on your own website. And the second one is that you can put your course on some sort of platform. Now, by platform, I mean things like Skillshare or Udemy. Those are the famous ones, where like you just upload your course and the platform does the work of distribution and handling payments and all that sort of stuff. That's how I made like $2.5 million by putting stuff on Skillshare. But that is generally not what I would recommend. What I would generally recommend, and the way that all these people are making millions rather than just small amounts of money making courses, is by doing it on their own platform. There are pros and cons, like there are some people making loads of money selling courses on Udemy.
Picking a platform can be confusing. Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, they all look great until you're stuck on setup. Our team doesn't just help you choose the right platform. We actually set it up for you. Course structure, upload, branding,
Then
checkout,
deliver
done.
the course to people. conveniently, there are specific platforms that allow you to do just that. So you've probably heard of Squarespace, for example. Squarespace, it makes it super easy to make a website. But there are also platforms that make it super easy to make and sell online courses. So the first one I got started with when it came to creating my BMAT UKCAT interview courses was Podia. It's probably not what I would recommend today, but it's pretty good. Your website, email marketing, and products all under one roof. Thousands of people like you use Podia to bring their entire business into a single platform. Podia is free, interesting, and as you grow, it has all the tools you'll need to keep growing. Oh, actually, Podia's pretty good. They're really going down the cheap route. So if you want to go down the cheap route, I actually would recommend Podia. Podia is very good. Kajabi is much more expensive. It's much more premium. It has much better features. But Podia is pretty solid, and I got started on Podia. So you can start for free. You get a website. You get a blog. You can build a coaching product. You can have a draft course. And then when you're ready to publish your course, you pay $33 a month. Okay, yeah, fine, $33 a month. So essentially, when I have an account on Podia, I can upload all of my MP4s, I can turn them into an online course, and then I can create a website directly on the platform, and I can get my URL, like ukuleleunleashed.com or whatever. And now people go on ukuleleunleashed.com and they buy my stuff, they hit buy, and then they're able to watch my online course. So for example, in our case, I'm going to use Kajabi as an example, because Kajabi is also a very good platform. Let's look at their pricing. So Kajabi pricing starts at $119 a month and then goes up to $319 a month. So more expensive than Podia, but I personally think it is a better platform. So this is what Kajabi looks like on the back end. Let's say, you know what, I'm just gonna make a new product. I'm gonna hit new product, create a course, get started. They also have a bit of an AI course builder, which is kind of fun. Ukulele Unleashed, fine, use this course to learn.
Ollie makes a great point. It's not just about content. It's also about making sure people can buy it easily. We build high-converting checkout pages and connect payment systems, so your course is ready to sell from day one. Zero tech.
Blue color, let's give it a green accent color for whatever that's worth. That doesn't quite work. Let's give it a light blue accent color. There we go. I don't need a thumbnail. Let's make it a paid course, and let's sell the course for... What's a reasonable amount to sell a ukulele course for? I don't know, let's say $29. That seems reasonable. And I can skip payment method for now. Great. So it's basically doing all the work for me. Well, it's not doing all the work for me, but it's helping me. It's helping create the outline of my course. Oh, perfect. It's AI course creator. It's already giving me the course outline. This is very nice. It's already created a landing page as well. Oh, this AI builder is very good. Fantastic. We now have a course. So we can see we've got module 1 introduction, module 2 basic ukulele chords. Go away. We can see ukulele strumming patterns, and we can see playing your first songs. And you can see the AI course builder has already done this, but obviously you have expertise. You're going to want to teach something you have expertise in, so you can adjust this to your heart's content. Lol. Now let's say I wanted to add a video to this. Holding a ukulele, I could. Oh wow, it's already it's already created the actual body of the course. But let's say this is a video course I'm doing. I can just hit upload a recent file, upload a video from my computer, and now people are able to take this course. Good. Now if I hit preview, this is what the course currently looks like. Ukulele Unleashed. Use this course to learn how to play a few songs on the ukulele for complete beginners. Start course. Come on. Oh, everything's draft, so it's not really going to look good. Let's just hit publish on a bunch of these so it looks like... Cool. Now if I preview the course, you can see introduction, understanding the ukulele. It basically is like a video player, and you can hit next module and then you'll get more stuff. I'm going to show you what this actually looks like for our YouTuber Academy course, because that's actually got stuff on it. So we have gone really elaborate with like the template and stuff. Well, you can see introduction, module 1, how to find your perfect niche. An introduction to finding your niche. And you can see that there's a video here, and there's video lessons, and there's comments, and... Finding your niche. So the question we're trying to answer is, what is my niche? So you can see on the side, I've got all the content of the course, and then I have got, people can sign up to the course and they can take the course. This is what happens in a platform like Kajabi, but it also happens in platforms like Podia and Teachable and all of this sort of stuff. So at this point, we now have our course created. We have made a fantastic course and it's beautiful, and we can show people that, look, check out this little course of mine. But you might publish the course. You'll hit publish, you'll get a URL like ukuleleunleashed.kajabi.com, You could buy your own domain, ukuleleunleashed.com. And then you could sit back and absolutely nothing will happen. Because in order to sell your course, you need traffic to your course website. And this is where the next part of the puzzle comes in. And I'm not going to put the ukulele off to the side because now the ukulele is kind of irrelevant in this. In fact, it's kind of irrelevant in this whole process. Great, easy. Okay, so how do we get people to actually buy our course? Well, they're never going to see the course directly, but where they potentially might hit is the website, ukuleleunleashed.com. Now, what should a course website have? So this, for example, is what the current website looks like for my BMAT Crash Course Online. This is a thing I filmed like 6 years ago in 2018. You can see BMAT Crash Course Online, £99, 3 payments of £39, buy now. There's a little trailer for it.
Hello, how's it going? Welcome to the benefit.
And then there's a bit of an overview for the course. In the course, I teach you everything you need to know about the BMAT, blah, blah, blah. And then there's what's in the course, and you can preview some of the lessons. This is all hosted on Podia. And this is what a landing page looks like, where you tell people what the course is about. So when they land on the landing page, they then have the option to click buy, and then a checkout page opens.
This part is crucial. Your landing page is the first impression. We create beautiful, fast-loading landing pages that convert. Plus, we bundle in lead magnets to help you collect emails and build your list
PayPal
from
or
day
Apple
one.
Pay or whatever based on the platform that you have. This is great. This works nicely. This, for example, is what the landing page looks like for our part-time YouTuber Academy. This is a really, really long landing page. It's probably a bit too long. Welcome to the Part-Time YouTuber Academy. We'll help you grow a YouTube channel while saving your hours every week. There's a video over here. And then it's just a really, 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 really long landing page. And at the end of it, you can hit the buy button somewhere, enroll now. And then it takes you to a checkout page where you can enter your cart details and do the checkout. You might be wondering, what is the difference between a landing page and a website? People often use the two interchangeably. A website is sort of like the broad thing, and the website contains landing pages. So for example, aliabdal.com is the website, and aliabdal.com/ukuleleunleashed is the landing page for the course. If you're just getting started out, you probably don't need a website as such. All you need is a landing page. A landing page is just like a one-page thing that has a button on it that allows people to buy your course. It's also often known as a sales page. It is the page that sells your course. And then if you want over time, you can build your own website and your own funky stuff. But I'm sort of using the word website and landing page interchangeably, but it's worth keeping in mind that website generally is broader, landing page is a page within a website. So this is, for example, what our YouTuber Academy checkout page looks like. This is hosted on Kajabi. And then finally, we have Productivity Lab. This is what our Productivity Lab landing page looks like. And at the moment it's sold out, but if it wasn't sold out, you would hit the buy button and it would take you to a checkout page where you can then pay and then all the good things happen. Now, a lot of these landing pages look pretty fancy, but these platforms like Podia and Kajabi and Teachable, like they all have landing page stuff built into it. So it's sort of like Squarespace, drag and drop. You can just sort of make a website even without knowing how to code, or rather you can make a landing page without knowing how to code. And so it's like easy enough to make that happen. Now at this point, it's also worth introducing the terminology of offer. So an offer is basically, what is the thing that you are offering? The offer is basically, if you imagine asking the question, what are you selling? And you had to respond in bullet points. That's the offer. So if we look at the offer, for example, for Productivity Lab, this is the offer. Productivity Lab sold out. Productivity Lab Community, 12-month access. You'll get access to the Life Productivity System, the Daily Focus Lab, the Reflection Rituals, the Expert Workshops, build a community with us, and much, much, much more. That is the offer. If we look at our YouTuber Academy, what is the offer? You get the core YouTuber Academy curriculum, bonus modules, lifetime access to the course material, the Creator Booster Pack, our PTYA workbook, our YouTuber productivity system, blah, 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 blah. Exclusive interviews from Mr. Who's the Boss, Matt. Exclusive bonuses, free bonuses, access to the community, YouTuber Foundations, Final Cut Pro. This is all part of the offer. Bonuses are part of the offer. It's like, what's the offer that we're making? When you go to a lemonade stand, the offer is, would you like some lemonade? They're offering you the lemonade. If you say yes, you get out your card, you give them cash, you pay for the lemonade, and then they fulfill on the offer. They give you the lemonade, you drink the lemonade, you're happy. The offer is the offer is the promise of lemonade, and the fulfillment is actually getting the lemonade in your hand. Similarly, the offer is the promise of what I'm going to get in Ukulele Unleashed, or what I'm going to get in the Part-Time YouTuber Academy, or what I'm going to get in Productivity Lab. And the fulfillment of the offer is actually getting the course, actually getting access to the course, or getting access to the community, or getting access to whatever the thing is that you're trying to sell. Now, At this point, it's worth recommending a book if you're trying to craft an offer. The best book I've ever read about this is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. It takes you through a step-by-step guide on how to actually make an offer. And Alex Hormozi's whole thing is make an offer so good that they can't say no to it.
A good offer is more than a course. It's about the transformation you promise. We help you craft a compelling offer, from course structure to bonuses, and match it with a digital product package you can also sell or give away to generate buzz.
If you present the offer to your target market and they're like, then you don't really know you have a good offer. So if, for example, I was speaking to, let's say, Tintin, you want to learn the ukulele, right? I'm going to teach you, the ultimate course on how to create the ukulele. It's going to be absolutely sick. By the end of the course, it's only going to take you 3 hours to go through. And by the end of it, you'll be able to play a song and sing and serenade your girlfriend. And it only costs $3. You'd probably be like, oh, that's pretty good. I would, if Tintin was interested in playing the ukulele, he'd be like, yeah, sure. $3 for a really good course on how to serenade my girlfriend playing the ukulele as a complete beginner. That's a pretty reasonable offer. If I said the course costs $3,000, he'd probably be a bit like, not sure about that. This relationship between like the value that's on offer and the price of the thing. Another example Alex Hormozi often uses is that imagine if someone said, hey, here's a brand new Ferrari and I'm only selling it to you for like $1,000. That's a pretty good offer if you believed them that it was actually a Ferrari, because you know that the value of the Ferrari is way more than $1,000 and the price they're charging is $1,000. So that is a very good offer. You want there to be an enormous discrepancy between the perceived value of the offer and the price of the offer. This is all getting into the weeds. Absolutely, if you're in this mode, read the book $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, and that will help you create a good offer. And then, if you want to learn how to create a good landing page, read the book Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. That's a great book that teaches you how to create a solid landing page. And copywriting is basically writing that's written with the intent to persuade someone, or writing written with the intent to get someone to take action. So through your landing page, you're kind of saying, have you ever wanted to play the ukulele? Well, introducing Ukulele Unleashed. It's the ultimate course that will teach you how to go as from complete beginner to like the heart and soul of the party and be able to serenade your loved ones by playing basic songs on the ukulele. And it's actually really easy and blah, 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 blah. All that is copywriting, i.e. the writing that is on your landing page. So Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards for the landing page, and $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi for the offer. Now, earlier in this video, we talked about this whole philosophical idea of being a teacher. Now, the thing with being a teacher is that doing the teaching is like just a tiny part of building a business around doing the thing. If, for example, you're a teacher and you're being employed by like a university, all you have to do is rock up, teach, and grade papers. That's like the easy part. The university, their problem is trying to get people in through the front door. Whereas if you actually want to make money selling online courses, now we're in the game of building a business around your teaching. So like the teaching really is the easy bit. Like creating the course is not the hard part. The hard part is all of the other stuff around building a business and how to actually sell the course. This is why, to be honest, platforms like Skillshare and Udemy exist, because they recognize that there are lots of people out there who enjoy teaching and who enjoy the idea of making an online course, but do not enjoy the idea of building a landing page and getting traffic to it and trying to build an offer and trying to make it good and trying to do lead gen and trying to do an email list and all the stuff that we're also going to talk about in this video and that I've talked about in a bunch of other videos. If you don't want to do all that stuff, you're leaving millions of dollars on the table, but it's also easier because you can just do the work by chucking a course on Udemy and hoping that the Udemy algorithm will like attract people to actually pay for the course. So at this point, let's summarize where we are at. We have talked about the actual creation of the course, which in many ways is the easy part. And we've talked about the landing page and the checkout, which we're going to call our website. So you can see how this works. People get onto the landing page, then if they like what they see on the landing page, they hit the buy button, then they go to a checkout page, they enter their card details, and then they get access to the course. And this really is where you make the money, by people going through your checkout page. But you could publish a course, you could publish a checkout page, and you can publish a landing page using Kajabi or Podia or any of these platforms. And then you could wait a week and still nothing would happen. You're not going to make any money. And the reason you're not going to make any money is because no one knows that your website even exists. And so then we come to the biggest problem of them all. And if you can crack this problem, then you can make literally millions, if not tens of millions, selling online courses. And if you cannot crack this problem, then you won't make a penny selling online courses. And this is the problem of leads. How do you actually get traffic to your landing page? How do you get people to actually know that ukuleleunleashed.com is even a thing? Now, if you're a beginner to this world of online business and course creation, I would recommend pausing the video and having a think about it. Let's say you were creating an online course called Ukulele Unleashed. How would you tell people about it? How would people even know that it exists? Well, you could say, well, they could just Google it, but They could Google something like how to play ukulele and then it'll show up. Good luck with that. This is the world of search engine optimization. If you Google how to play ukulele, we've got 82 million search results that come up. You've got sponsored, ukulele lessons, musician, your first ukulele lesson on YouTube video.
This is where most creators struggle. They build a course, but no one sees it. We solve that by giving you ready-to-sell digital products that attract buyers. You can list them on Etsy or Marketplace and build an email list that you later sell your course.
Is going to rank anywhere near the top for search engine results. It takes years and years and years of like high quality content and domain authority and all this funky stuff to get people to be able to land on your thing on Google. So Google is not an option. You are not allowed. You're going to get zero traffic to your website if you just rely on Google. How else might you get leads? Or traffic rather, leads and traffic, I'm kind of using it interchangeably. How else might you get traffic to your ukuleleunleashed.com landing page? Now this is getting into more complicated territory around how do you get leads, and again, Alex Hormozi's book, $100 Million Leads, is very good for this. I'm gonna try and kind of simplify it and tell you what most people in this online courses world are doing. Really, it comes down to two things. Either they are making free content, or they are running paid ads. And some are doing kind of like a mixture of the two. Free content and paid ads. How does this work? Well, paid ads are, let's say I were to pay Google to run ads to my course website for ukulele for beginners, right? So for example, ukulele for beginners. These are paid ads. Musician has paid for an ad to show up over here. Preply, online ukulele lessons, has paid for an ad here. Artist Works has paid for an ad over here. So these three people are paying for an ad on Google. You can pay for ads on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube and stuff. I could again pay Google and I could say, hey, any video on YouTube that's about playing the ukulele, I want you to run my video ad in front of that video. This is fine. A lot of the kind of info product online course people from back in the day made their millions by running paid ads. The problem is that it's really, really expensive, and it is only getting more expensive every year. Because often you have to pay like several dollars for every click to your website. And if, let's say, only 1% of people are actually buying your thing, it costs you, let's say, $300 to get a sale for $30. So you're just losing money. Like, this is by far the quickest, one of the quickest ways to bankrupt yourself, by trying to run paid ads when you don't yet know how. There are still people that are doing it successfully. It is still possible. It's just getting very, very expensive. And so generally paid ads are not what most people would recommend for beginners. It sort of depends who you talk to. If you speak to the paid ads gurus, they will say paid ads are still a great way as a complete beginner to blah, 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 blah. But the way that I'm familiar with, and the way that most people I know are making millions, if not tens of millions, through online courses, is essentially through free content. Now, what does this mean? Well, if I search Google for ukulele for beginners, 3 of these videos are sponsored. But actually, this guy, Andy Guitar, his is the first real search result. Absolute beginner, start here.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to this free 10-day starter course.
It's a free 10-day starter course. Interesting. This video has 11 million views, and he posted it 5 years ago. It's a pretty basic video. It looks like it was just filmed on a phone. Production value is a bit jank. But like, ukulele lesson 1, absolute beginner, start here, free 10-day course. He's giving away free content. And now look what's happening in the video description. andyguitar.co.uk/online course. Let's click on that. Learn ukulele with Andy. It's not as nice a name as Ukulele Unleashed, but hey, you can learn ukulele with Andy. Let's hit get started. And
hello, welcome to the...
That's his course. And now he's going to sell me a membership, which is £11 per month or £110 per year. That's pretty good. I suspect he probably started selling individual courses, and then once you make enough courses, you're like, it's kind of annoying selling all of these, and so you just drive people towards some sort of membership where they get all the courses for free. But the reason I know that Andy Guitar exists is because he made a YouTube video about it. And this is where the power of free content is, where people are getting value from the free content, from Andy's YouTube video, and then if they like it, they're thinking, this guy seems kind of legit. Let me sign up to his online course. This is why
Hey friends, welcome back.
I started making YouTube videos. So if we look at my channel from 7 years ago and look at my oldest YouTube videos, I've got some music videos, I've got some trailers for my courses, and then I have BMAT Section 1, Everything You Need to Know.
Hello everyone, my name is Ali and I'm a 5th year medical student at Cambridge University. I'm also the co-founder of 6med, a small company that runs courses for medical school applicants, and I've been teaching the BMAT crash course for the last 5 years.
It's a video which currently has 225,000 views, that's absurd, where throughout this video I'm just teaching people, I'm giving away free content, I'm teaching people how to do well in BMAT Section 1, And in the video description, I will have linked my online BMAT course. 75 plus videos, courses.alibaba.com. The free content is the thing that people get value from, and then some of them will click through to your website. This is one very good way of solving the traffic problem, because if you can make really good free content about playing the ukulele, you could then potentially get traffic to actually want to buy your online course. The benefit of videos on YouTube, for example, as well, is that, if I see Andy Guitar and I'm like, you know what? Like with Justin Guitar, for example, I started watching his YouTube videos. I decided I liked the way that Justin teaches the guitar, and I thought, you know what? I want his proper step-by-step course. So I bought his course for like $30. And then I got better at the guitar. So then I was like, you know what? I trust Justin. He helped me get to an intermediate stage. So now, of course, I'm going to buy his intermediate guitar course. If that was paid ads, if that was anything else, it would have been a lot harder for me to build that kind of trust and relationship with Justin's content. And so that's the value of free content leading to traffic. Most people who make loads and loads of money selling online courses, they have an absolute ton of free content. Amy Porterfield has a podcast. Jenna Kutcher has an Instagram and a Pinterest. I have my 800 YouTube videos I've been making over the last 7 years. For someone new to come into the market and to just make an online course, making the online course is the easy part. Getting the traffic to your website for the online course is 99% of the work. If you can get the traffic, then converting it into a sale, provided they have enough money and the offer is reasonably good, that's all easy enough. The hard part is getting the traffic in the first place, which is why all these people are trying to build organic audiences by making YouTube videos and writing tweet threads and posting on LinkedIn. The game of building a business is mostly about winning the work and less about actually doing the work. And so if there's one thing you take away from this video, if you're still here, in this really long video, it's that just wanting to be a teacher alone is not enough. It's not enough that is not how you make a career selling online courses. You also have to be the one driving the leads, driving the traffic to your website so that some of them might potentially buy your course. And that is a large amount of work. This is why, people are getting rich off of this, but it's a hell of a lot of work. I know so many people who have tried to create online courses and they just don't put in the work because it's actually quite hard. It takes a lot of work to create an online course. You can always kind of bash it out in a weekend, that sort of thing. But if you really want to make a good online course and make a good website for it and feel proud of it because you don't want to scam your audience, it takes weeks, if not months, to put together a decent online course. And then you have to make all this free content to promote the online course, but do it in a non-salesy way and do it where you're providing loads and loads of value, where you're always worried about if I give away too much, will people even sign up to my course, all this sort of stuff. This is why this thing is hard. This is why this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not a get-rich-easy scheme, but it is absolutely a way to build a career on the internet. And to be honest, I make millions selling online courses. For me to make millions as a neurosurgeon, I would have to train for 20 years and have to work 80 hours a week. So it's worth keeping in mind that this is not get rich easy. There's no such thing as get rich easy. In order to make lots of money, you have to put in a lot of work. This is just a form of work that if you enjoy teaching, it's just fun creating content on the internet and it's fun turning it into online courses. You might be interested in this particular business model if that's the case. Alrighty, turns out we've actually just had a lunch break because this is a super long video and we're in the process of building a desk in the background because I'm currently on the dining table, which I'm going to swap out for a proper desk, hence all the random crap in the background. So we have talked about an entire overview of how to make money through online courses on a very broad level, and I'm now going to sort of blitz through commonly asked questions about this sort of business. Okay, so what if you feel like you have nothing to teach? Okay, this is a really common question. I often see this from people who are in their teens or early 20s, but actually often I hear it from people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s as well, because there's a strong sense of imposter syndrome around I don't really have anything to teach, so how can I make an online course if I have nothing to teach? There's two things I would say to this. The first one is that you probably do have something to teach. If you had a gun to your head and you had to make a list of
We've all felt that imposter syndrome. But everyone has something they do better than the average person. Our service helps you uncover what you know, package it into a course, and pair it with ready-made digital assets, so you can start selling even as you build
5 years ago or 10 years ago. There is stuff that you've learned. If you're, let's say, I don't know, a random 25-year-old and maybe you're 4 years into working a job and you did a 3-year university or a 4-year college degree, you've learned how to study for exams, you've learned how to have work-life balance during college, you might have done some sports, you might have learned a few skills, you might know some stuff on your job. Maybe your job is, I don't know, RevOps, working for a startup. You can potentially teach RevOps for startups. Maybe your job involved you having to learn how to use Figma or Canva or Photoshop or any number of 100 different tools. You could potentially teach how to use those particular tools. So it's about broadening our horizons and just really recognizing that, it's very easy to think that you have nothing to teach. But, you know, there's some questions I like to think about, which is, okay, let's say, you know, someone forces you to, you have to give a talk in front of 100 people. And it needs to be a 20-minute talk, but you can choose exactly who's going to be in the audience. And you can choose what sort of audience you're speaking to. If you had to give a talk for 20 minutes, what would that talk be about? If you had to give advice to yourself from 3 years ago or 5 years ago, what advice would you give that person? If you had to teach someone who's 5 years younger than you a skill that you have learned in the last 5 years, what would that skill be? That will give you a sense of like, okay, maybe I do have some stuff that I could potentially teach. But the other thing to keep in mind is that, like, I'm not saying anyone in the world can make a living selling online courses. You actually do have to have something to teach. So if you haven't done anything interesting in your life, or you haven't learned any skills, you can't make a living selling online courses. But what you can do is you can start today. You can teach yourself a skill, learn it over 2 years, and then you can make a course about it 2 years from now. I knew nothing about video editing, absolutely nothing. I started completely from scratch, watching YouTube tutorials and Skillshare classes on how to edit videos in Premiere Pro. Then I switched to using Final Cut. And 2 years, from 2017 to 2019, I taught myself the skill of video editing. And then in 2019, I made a course about it. And that course has been making me $5,000 a month, every month for the last like 5 years. It's absolutely insane. If you feel like you don't have a skill, that's fine. Perfect time to start learning something is right now. All right, next question. In what order should you do this stuff? So the way that I explained things in this video was deliberately in an inverted order. I started with making the course, and then we talked about the landing page and the website, and only third we talked about traffic. In reality, what I would recommend doing is to flip the order. If you think you have something to teach, do not try and create a course, because you will run into the problem of not having enough traffic. If you want to start any kind of business, the place you should start is with the lead generation, with actually seeing, can you get people to sign up to get a free version of the thing? So this is where I would recommend watching my interview with Daniel Priestley on my Deep Dive podcast that talks all about leads. Let's say I was actually trying to make Ukulele Unleashed the course. I mean, I would buy the domain name ukuleleunleashed.com if it's available, just so I have it, but I'm not even going to vaguely try doing the course. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to see if I can get people to attend a completely free, I'll probably do a webinar, a completely free Ukulele for Complete Beginners webinar. And it's going to be a 45-minute webinar, and I'm going to do it over Zoom. And I'm going to see, what can I do? How many friends and family and people in my network and people at work can I get to attend this free webinar that will teach them the basics of playing the ukulele? So a free webinar might be a way of generating leads. Let's say I wanted to teach a course on productivity. Let's say I've become really productive and I want to teach an online course on productivity. I would not try and first teach an online course on productivity. What I would do is I would try and create a free educational email course, like 5 emails that are just giving loads of value and teaching the things around productivity that I want to teach. And then I'd be trying to figure out, how can I get 100 people to go through my...
Ollie lays it out clearly, but many people still get stuck in planning loops. We give you a roadmap and do the heavy lifting. Course first, funnel next, then traffic. All streamlined and built by pros.
That's the first thing. You get them to opt in to kind of demonstrate their interest in something. That's when they become a lead, i.e. they've given you permission to contact them. You give them free value, and this could be in the form of a webinar, or it could be in the form of like a quiz or a scorecard. And you can use the app Score app for that. It's very good. I've invested in it. It's sick. Or you can do an educational email course, EEC. You give them free value. And then what you do is you send people a survey once they've gotten the free value, which asks them, hey, what are their challenges? What would they be interested in? You get a sense of what's their willingness to pay. And once you can do that, if you can get 100 people to see your free value and to, you know, at least some of them to say that, yeah, I would pay $29 for a course if you made it. I would pay $59 for a course. I would pay for one-on-one coaching. At that point, you think, okay, cool, let me make the course. Even then, from that point onwards, I would probably do a pre-sale. You can whip up a landing page for the course. You can collect pre-orders for the course. You can build a waiting list for the course. And all of this gives you a sense of, before you spend all of the time and effort to actually create the course, at least you are making sure you're going to have enough demand to be able to actually sell the course. All right, next question. How do you choose a price for your course? It's complicated. Like, pricing is really, really complicated. There are entire books written about this. What I would say is price it low initially, and you can always increase the prices over time. Whereas if you start high initially, it's harder to decrease the prices over time, because then the people who bought from you initially then get pissed off that you decrease the price further down the line. Whereas if you start low, and then based on, if you can sell a product for $29, bump the price to $39, $49, $59, that sort of thing. People don't mind so much if the price increases. In fact, they feel good about it because they got it when it was cheaper. That's one way of going about it. There is a whole other school of thought which says that you should start by charging really high. You know, you should start by trying to charge $1,000 for your course and just give people $10,000 worth of value. There is also merit to that. I think the pricing question is like, that could be a whole like freaking 3-hour long masterclass just by itself. So I'm going to give you those bare bones for now. And if you're seriously in the position where you're thinking about pricing your course, you should Google it and search on YouTube and search on Amazon for some books that specifically talk about pricing for online courses, because people have written about this and I'm sure you can find some really, really good information about it. Next question, what is a funnel? So this is something that, Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets, is all about funnels. A funnel is basically, I'm not even sure how you define a funnel. I'm sure Russell has a good definition. But imagine sort of like an actual funnel. And you've got like different stages of your funnel. You have your traffic, which maybe, I don't know, watches your YouTube videos. That's like a lot of people. Then some percentage of those people, I don't know, let's say 1%, will click to your website. And then some percentage of those people, when they hit your website, will hit the checkout button and, you know, check out on your thing. And then some percentage of those people will potentially kind of buy your upsell or whatever. It's like, this is the idea of a funnel. And so when you have a sort of, the bottom of the funnel is usually the thing that makes money. And the goal is to get people into the top of your funnel so that they trickle through to the bottom. And obviously you're always going to get way more people who are not going to buy from you than who will buy from you. And so the funnel kind of goes down in these different stages. Again, this could be a whole like 10-hour masterclass in itself, but Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets, talks all about this. I've just got the definition. A funnel describes your customer's journey from when they first hear about you all the way through to purchase. So they first hear about you on your YouTube videos, then maybe they go on your website, then maybe they go on your checkout, and then they buy your thing. That would be one example of a funnel. All right, next question. What advice would you have for someone who wants to start but is scared because they don't feel like an expert? Yes, you do need to have something to teach, but you don't need to be an expert in the thing. I think the word expert like puts a lot of people off, because all you need to do is be able to teach something to people who are 1 or 2 levels below you. I was not an expert video editor when I created an online course about how to edit videos, but I didn't promise that. I didn't say, I'm an expert video editor and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. I said, look, I'm a basic ass bitch. I learned editing myself. This is the 80-20. I'm going to teach you the simple way of learning editing to make simple YouTube videos. And I promised that, and I was able to deliver on that promise for people who were 2 steps behind me in the journey. I have nothing to teach someone who's a professional video editor, but also a professional video editor kind of has the curse of knowledge, and like someone who's an actual expert. You know, the guy who edited Oppenheimer is probably not going to have anything valuable to teach like a complete beginner who's never touched a video editing software program before in their life, because there's just too much of a gulf between them. So you don't need to be an expert as such. Most people never feel like an expert. On my book, it says, you know, the world's most followed productivity expert. I still don't feel like an expert. Feeling like an expert is like an internal social construct that doesn't really mean anything. What matters is, can you provide value to people who are a few steps behind you in the journey, and are they willing to pay for it? And you just try it out and see what happens. But crucially, you try it out for free, because if people are not getting value from your free stuff, there's no way in hell they're going to get value from your paid stuff. All right, next question. What are the most common mistakes that people make when building a courses business? I would say the single most common mistake is not validating the demand for the course before making the course. So again, like I said, get people to sign up for the waitlist for the course. It takes like 5 minutes to create a page that lets people enter their email address to join a waitlist for a course. If you cannot get people to join a waitlist for a course, you have no demand for that course. And so like start by doing that. And then once you have the demand, at that point, you can then decide to make the course. All right, next question. What about people pirating my content? This is a question that I get a lot when people do stuff around courses. People will always pirate your content. Like my courses, I charge $1,000 plus for them, but they are available for free on the internet. People have made impersonations of Ali Abdaal Instagram accounts and have DM'd all of my followers, all 800,000 of them on Instagram, saying, hey, I will give you Ali Abdaal's course for like $7. It's just going to happen. You can't do anything about it, and there's no point even trying. And then there's a bit of a related question, which is how much of my content should I give away for free on my YouTube channel versus what I charge for in my course? And again, there's different schools of thought about this, but my general view is that the more stuff you give away for free, the more money you're going to make with your course. Because generally when people buy a course, yes, all of the content could be on YouTube, but what they're doing when they buy a course is A, they're making a commitment to themselves, and B, what they're really trying to do is get it all in one place in a nice laid out roadmap where they can just sort of go through and see things in the right order. Like, yeah, if you're sharing bits and bobs of the stuff that you teach in the course on the YouTube channel, I don't think that's a problem. For me, what I've found, and for most of my friends in the space who have made millions selling courses, the more you give away for free, the more money you make from online courses. All right, next question. How do you handle refunds and dissatisfied students? So I'm a big believer in offering a basically very frictionless money back guarantee. My whole thing is that if someone doesn't find the course valuable, then I do not want that money. I do not deserve their money. I should not have their money. So we have a very easy way for people to get refunds. You just email us and we can basically get you to fill out a form and you get a refund. It's not that hard. I think refunds are, like, guarantees are an amazing way of getting started with a courses business or any business, because it takes a lot of the imposter syndrome away. I know so many people who are like, oh, but like, is my course really worth $300 or really worth $59? It's like, bro, just offer a money back guarantee. And if people don't like your course, they will get their money back. And that's fine. You're never taking someone's money if they don't want to give you the money. You're never keeping someone's money if they're not satisfied. So yeah, you're going to get people who want a refund because they don't think your course is good enough. That's fine. You will also get people who sign up to your course purely so that they can download it, upload it to some sort of piracy website, and then request a refund. That's also fine. It's just a cost of doing business. It's just part of the wheel of life, and we just have to deal with it. All right, final question. So what are some recommended resources to learn more about this topic? There are loads. $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. $100 Million Leads, the book by Alex Hormozi. .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, which is all about funnels, which is a sort of more advanced type thing. Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. So Russell's kind of 3-book trilogy is basically all about how to build these sorts of businesses, and he's an info product kind of guy, and so makes a load of money selling online courses. So that's a really good series as well. There's a chap called Brendan Burchard, who's amazing. He has a book called The Millionaire Messenger, which I've not yet read, but he has an online course called Experts Academy, which is basically how to be an online thought leader. That's amazing. It's one of the best courses I've ever seen on the topic. It is $1,000, so yeah, but it's a really freaking good course. Within that, I think you get access to another product of his called Total Product Blueprint, which really goes in depth about like online courses and coaching and memberships and stuff. Like, these are all things within this online expert space, which is basically how to be a teacher on the internet to make money through the thing. I also have a bunch of interviews on my Deep Dive podcast where I've interviewed other people who are course creators. So people like Tiago Forte and David Perel and Dickie Bush and Nicholas Cole, and we'll put links to all of those in the video description. Apologies to whoever's in my team having to put those links based on all the random crap I've just said. All right, if you've gone to the end of this video, firstly, thank you so much for being here. If you want more resources on this, I've created a little playlist for you here, which is in order the videos and podcasts that I would recommend that will really give you an underlying foundation of the knowledge and skills you need to build an effective online courses business. So check out that playlist over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.